I was hijacked. Me and friends went out, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna rest. And they went in, and the next thing you know, I wake up, the car is moving, and actually wake up and I realize I'm like, no, these are not my friends. So when I wake up, the car is it's rolling, and they were just telling me how they're gonna rape me. And how they're going to kill me, and that nobody's ever gonna find me. And then I got hit by a gun. When I looked outside of the window, it looked like there's a carpet rolled out for me, and I opened the door and I jumped out. And they hit the brakes a couple of houses down. They reversed and they drove on my knee. And you know, guys, how God works. I woke up getting ready for work, and I was talking to my mom, and she looked at me, she's like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to work. Where else would I go? She said, did you see your face? I looked at myself and my face was completely on my left. I had a session with my psychiatrist. So when I got there, we're talking, and suddenly my speech goes. And she says to me, can you please remove your mask? Mapule, what's happening? As I removed my mask, she just sat back. She said, you are having a stroke.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of I've Been Through the Most podcast right here on Centtwinz TV. Of course, it's your favorite twins, myself, Innocent, and Millicent, Centtwinz. Yes, and if you're watching us on YouTube, welcome, and thank you so much for growing the numbers. We see it, and we are super grateful. The more you like, subscribe, comment, is the more we're going to keep the content coming. We're all about inspirational content that inspires, that changes lives, because we bring real people with real stories, and we don't take for granted what that does in helping people or the viewers that are watching out there. And this is why when you want to come to I've Been Through the Most, simply send us an email. It is centtwinz@gmail.com. While you are there, please go head over to your social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We are everywhere. If you are part of the Cent fam, make sure you follow each and every one of those pages right now. Well, we bring you another exciting episode, and I am so thankful that we have our guest today to come and share her story. Welcome, Mapule Chloe.
Hi,
How are
guys.
you doing, girl?
I'm good. Thank you guys for having me. It's such an honor to be on Centtwinz Productions.
Yay.
I've been through the most because wow.
Yeah, because wow, have we
Because
not
wow.
all been through the most?
We've all been through the most, I think. Yeah.
Today's about you.
Yeah.
Can you briefly give us an introduction of who you are?
So I'm Mapule Chloe Tshoma. I'm from the East Strand in Vosloorus. Grew up in Vosloorus. School, everything. I'm the youngest of 4 children.
Oh.
And yes, I'm a radio host on Women Radio. I am a motivational speaker. I'm a businesswoman. I am in events, and I also have a cleaning services company.
Yo.
Yes, and I'm a stroke survivor. Yeah, that's me.
Sure. A woman who wears many hats. I
wear
see.
a lot of hats. I wear a
Sure.
whole lot of hats, yes.
And you are doing it all.
I'm doing it all. I'm doing it all so well. There's many others, I'm also into charity. I really I think I found my niche in life. I just really love helping people. With the journey that I've had, helping people just really gives me so much joy. And I think as we delve into the story, I'm living with 3 mental illness diagnoses. And with that journey, like helping people really does soothe, and I really fall back, into the dark hole I was ever in, so it keeps me going.
That keeps you going.
Keeps me
That is
going.
so powerful. And thank you
Love
for
it.
sharing that. And I think that's a beautiful introduction of what you're going to speak about. Because I was going to say, what are you doing here when I've been through the most? Take
Hey,
us through
guys.
what you have been through.
Okay, so I've been through quite a whole lot of things, right? I'll just take one from back then, where I was hijacked. It was in 2009. Me and friends went out, and when we came back, another friend is like, I want to pass by Katlehong. There's this joint I want to check out. So on the Saturday, it was a Sunday actually. There was Neo and Kerry Hilson in the country. So yeah, it was such a great weekend. And on the Saturday before, we had a wedding in our family. So traveling, I was tired, and they parked there at the joints. I just jumped into the passenger seat and I said, you know what, I'm gonna rest because I had an early morning. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna rest. And they went in, and the next thing you know, I wake up, the car is moving. And now I'm thinking, okay, like, guys, if you guys are drunk, why are you driving and, not giving somebody, because there was someone who was not drinking.
Yeah.
And actually wake up and I realize, I'm like, no, these are not my friends. So when I wake up, the car is just, it's rolling, And so I was petite, I was obviously still young. I was just slightly after high school. And the car is just rolling. So, Kerry Hilson, the hairstyle, I just had my hair done. So, when you have your hair done, your complexion just really stands out. And it was at night. So, I think these gents were mistaken me thinking I'm colored, and they were just telling me how they're going to rape me and how they're going to kill me and that nobody's ever going to find me.
Okay, let's take a break.
Okay, quick break.
I'm so hungry.
I've been so hungry. So we're trying out this limited edition from KFC Kids at the Town.
Yes!
And mine, the donut and the crunch, I cannot wait to dig in. What
That's going to be nice, like sweet and savory. And this one has your favorite ingredients, actually, Sissy. There's some cheese, there is a hash brown, and of course, the crispy patties. Let's go.
Cool. Let's dig into it quickly.
Wow.
So good. This is literally double the crunch, double the taste, very cheesy.
Can you guys please finish up? We need to shoot.
All right, so we had to get this limited edition because you cannot miss it. It tastes absolutely amazing.
So tasty, so fresh, so unique and so different, just like us. I mean, we might look the same, but we are different. And I love that this offering is so different. Make sure to get to your nearest KFC, selected KFC stores, and the offer is limited to enjoy it as much as we did.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I'm going to take one
One
last
more before
bite
we shoot
again.
Okay.
Because obviously they were not wearing any balaclavas or anything. And then they started actually robbing me. They asked for my bank card.
When did they realize there's someone in the car?
I
Because
think,
I'm pretty sure they also didn't know there was someone in the car.
I think, you know what? I think what they were doing is they were just probably walking around the parking lot. And they actually saw me. Because literally, I fell asleep. I literally fell asleep. Like I said, I was exhausted. So
And the car wasn't locked.
And the car was locked. But it was. I mean, at that, I think it was a Honda Ballade. Yeah, like it was not those fancy cars or whatever. So I think they managed to open it without me actually. So I was literally in deep sleep.
Yes, you were tired.
I was exhausted.
I was about to say, if you stay in the car and there's an event or something, then you are really, really tired.
I was not up for it actually, because they even say it, my friends. Like I think it wasn't even maybe if I think it was roughly about 15 to 20 minutes that they've just went into the joint. So, okay, now the car is going. And then I got hit by a gun on my head. And I think the impact, like, it obviously, it tore my scalp. And I was supposed to have passed out. But by the grace of God, I did not pass out. And I was just bleeding. So I was wearing something white and, I could just see, and blood is warm, right? And they were traveling. So they're just going on about, there's this story of a young woman. I think she would be in her 50s or 40s, somewhere there, that was going around in Katlehong where she was brutally murdered and raped. And, they literally put glasses and stuff in her private parts. So they were literally telling me that they're going to do that with me. And I was just sitting there, and I'm telling you, the windscreen of the car, it looked like I'm actually seeing flashbacks. I was seeing my family. I was seeing my mom, my siblings. And I'm like, I can't take this anymore. So, and the car is moving, it's not like they're driving like us as friends going for a drink or whatever. No, they were literally driving very fast. And I just said a short prayer, and I'm telling you, it looked like when I looked outside of the window, it looked like there's a carpet rolled out for me. And I opened the door and I jumped out. And as I jumped out, obviously, there's, other people put stones on their pavements. I think the impact, obviously, there was a laceration. I still have the scar on my thigh, where like it was a very deep cut. I'm sure if you've noticed, I'm trying to get out of a moving car. You can actually feel that there's that sensation, you can feel if I was to actually jump out of this car now, like I'm gonna get hurt, So imagine now jumping because of an emergency. I jumped out of the car. I rolled. I hit the stone that was there, because obviously impact. And they hit the brakes. A couple of houses down, they reversed and they drove on my knee. And you know, guys, how God works. I think I was actually talking to a friend of mine, because I'm actually writing a book about the journey of my life and the surviving of the stroke and the car hijack. And my friend was like, yo, at that time of your life, like, there was so much going on, you know, and sometimes God, you know, to get your attention, he will put you through the most, just to say, be still and listen to me. I'm here, I'm talking to you, you know, especially when you, from a very young age, I've always just been what my family would say a special child, you know, and now that I'm older and through everything that I've been through, I actually realized that God has been, like, you know, I've been blessed,
Yes.
you know, to deal with people. But because sometimes we're young or life happens, you know, there's so many voices. You want to do this, you want to do that. You find yourself in crowds that you're not really supposed to be in or part of. So, you know, for him to move you, you know, sometimes it takes something very drastic.
Yes.
So here I am. Then they drove off. Okay, so
After driving over you.
Yes.
So, okay, before we get there.
Yeah.
I am obviously just picturing the scenario as you talk.
Yeah.
And for you to, obviously, there's a lot of, you know, fear and anxiety going, these are strangers and they're threatening you and they're telling you all these kinds of things. And you're thinking, is this my last day? Am I going to die? What prompts you to take the risk of opening the door and jumping out of the car? Because another car could even bump you from behind. I mean, it must take some strength that you also didn't know you had, some courage you didn't know you had to do that.
Like I said, as I'm sitting there, the windscreen literally kind of like became like a movie screen.
Yeah.
And I was just looking at my family, you know, my siblings, my three older siblings rather. My late sister was still around, obviously, at that time. My mom, you know, cousins, everybody, friends that are really there, church people. Because now, I mean, Rico youth now, right? And yeah, you know, sometimes as youth in church, we do outrageous things sometimes. Now you're just thinking to yourself, like, what now? And I actually said a short prayer. And after that, when I looked out, hence I'm saying it looked like there was a carpet rolled out for me.
Yes. So it was like, do it now. Something gave you comfort and peace
gave
to
me
do
confidence
it.
After I had said amen from the prayer. And I didn't say, hey, Habarashia. I just said, our Father. The most, you know that prayer. I just said,
So
I said, our Father. And I remember, obviously, inside.
Yes.
And that moment, something said, jump out. And I opened the door
Immediately.
Ngazlash.
You didn't think of it. Like
my friends used to, like, there's a thing they usually used to do, you know, when there was that, what's that dance? Yeah, but you know, nga champa out, you know. From that moment, like, I think, like I said, I think it's God, because in everything that we do, even if we might have shifted from God and we have forgotten about him, but he's always there.
He still communicates.
Exactly. You know, and I jumped out. And for some odd reason, I managed to get up and run the opposite direction. So the car is headed that way. I ran the direction the car came from.
With injuries and all.
With injuries. And you know how it is. They always say, when you've just gotten injured, you can't feel anything. Yeah. My first instinct was, get yourself to safety. I'm screaming, and there were a few houses that had lights on. They just switched off their lights. But I don't blame them, remember, Kikokasi, and I'm sure they know how hectic that particular hood is. And the sad reality is I'm not even so used to that neighborhood.
Area, yeah?
Yeah. I'm running the opposite direction, so there's streets coming in, streets going in. And I think 2 streets down, I actually see 2 cars parked in the middle of the road. So now you've just had a traumatic experience.
With the car.
With a car. You don't know, there's a group of people there, you're not sure, what do I do? Do I run there? You know, and for some odd reason, I'm like, you know what, whatever happens now, it's all in God's hands. And I ran there, and when I got there, it was actually couples. So there were girls riding in the one car, and then the guys were in the other car. And I just got there, and obviously I'm bloody, and they could see, and then, you know, they just took me, they put me in the guy's car. So now I'm seeing guys, I'm hearing male voices, I'm panicking, and then the one girl came in, you know, so I'm like, okay, they're like, what's happening? So I'll tell them, I'm like, we're at this joint with my friends, and like, we have to take you to hospital. I'm like, no, we have to start there. I can't see myself. That I'm like
you
that.
can't see how injured
I know
you
I was
are. Your
bleeding,
body's
but
in
I can't
shock.
see anything. And they said, okay, fine, we'll go start there. And I'm like, please, because I don't think they're gonna get worried. They don't know where I am, you know. And I've just been hijacked, and we're
their
traveling
car
in
is
one
gone.
car. Exactly. So okay, we drive there. And they're like, what are your friends wearing? So I remember one of them was wearing a certain blue jacket and stuff. So, you know, when you're looking for that particular, everybody's now wearing white type of thing. So the guy says, you know what, ma'am, I think we should just take you. I'm like, no, I'm okay. I can walk in. They're like, no, they're trying to stop me because I can't see. I'm wearing a jumpsuit, yeah, short. And I walk in there in the joint. It's like, it's Sunday. So hood shits, like, you know, people are chilling. And as I walk in, I remember there's this big wooden door. And when I walk in, the DJ table is there. And everybody just looks at the door and they're like, yo. And that moment, I looked down and my skin was actually flapping. And that moment, everybody like, now the DJ stops the music. People are jumping up. Hey, what's going on? And luckily there was a gent who spotted me, who had his baby mama or his partner was living around my neighborhood in Vosloorus.
So he knows you.
And he sees me and he's like, what are you doing here? Because mind you, I'm young, right? And the moment I saw, don't want to mention his name, but the moment I saw him, I called him like Booty, and then I collapsed. The next thing you know, I wake up at Natal Spirit Hospital, was still in Katlehong. Doctors, big lights, I don't know what's happening, I'm confused. Now the pain is there, you know, there's scissors, there's big injections, you know, they're obviously explaining the procedure. We just want to check, were you raped? I can't remember, where am I? I'm crying, I want my mom. And now it's like literally the wee hours of the morning, you know, so they put, they inject me to calm down, and, you know, eventually everything is done. And then I wake up in the ward and my friends are there. They're like, bruh, this and that happened. And I'm like, really? And I'm like, okay, now we need to call my mom, because they took my phone. Now I'm recalling, you know, like they took my phone, and I'm not a child to like literally leave home and not come back home. She knew that we're going out, and we're supposed to be back home by this time. So can we just try contact her?
She must
And
be very
she must be very worried. And I'm like, what's the time? It's like literally 5 a.m. She's getting ready. Monday. She's going to work. So my friend actually goes and calls her mom, because we live same street. She calls her mom and says, please go to Mapule's house and speak to her mother and tell her we're here at... So my mom at that time, when she was traveling to work, she'd actually passed by the hospital I was at. So by the time they got to my house, she'd already left, because she'd leave very early in the morning. And I remember my brother-in-law and my older sister then drove, and then my mom had to make a turn. So now obviously it was around 7 now in the morning, and they walk in. And obviously it's a police matter, you know, and I zoned out. And when I woke up again, the ward is filled with police and like asking questions. And now I'm overwhelmed. Now I'm like peering, and behind this tall police guy, there's my mother, you know, and the worry in her face, because I'm not a problematic child, you know. So now this is happening, you know. And yeah, I stayed in hospital for quite some time, because the wound was taking forever to get healed. And they were initially saying that they're going to do like skin grafting. You know, they're going to take skin from somewhere and put it there. But by the grace of God, I started healing well, you know, and I had to do a bit of physio because of the knee. And yeah, I got better, you know. And I think for a little while, I kind of like toned down, like friends away, you know, and I never blamed my friends, you know. It's just that obviously sometimes we find ourselves in situations, you know, because we try to be in the mix with our friends. So if a friend says, I want to go to X and Y Z, I want to go to News Cafe, and you want to go home, you know, I think now I know better. And I always preach, you know, when I speak to youth at churches or wherever, if you feel it's not right and you feel tired, you're allowed to say, can I go home?
Yes.
If they're going to be mad at you, they're going to be mad at you. And I mean, it's okay, you know, because sometimes your resistance of going to a particular place is actually trying to save you from something bad that's going to happen. So I survived that, you know, but, you know. For a reason, yes. And I think I never did your whole therapy thing. You know, I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm fine. And it is so funny, you know, you find yourself, remember you're young. Again, friends. This was a second hijack. Luckily, it was now the following year, I think it was in 2010. And again, a friend, we go out, Katlehong again. We go out. She knows some guy who owns whatever place. So, okay, we chilled. We're going to go with her. It's fine. The event was nice, no funny business. It was very clean outing and stuff. Now it's time for us to go home. So the guy's like, no, I'm going to drop you guys off. So the one friend decides to she gets lost. Now we can't leave without the third person. Like, we need to go fetch the third person. So now the guy, the driver's like, no, I'm going to go see if I can see her because I remember her, you know. Now we're sitting in the car. Pulls up a car behind us. But now I'm in the back, right behind the passenger.
Driver left.
Yes.
To go and
look for the friend. Mm-hmm. Now it's me and the other friend, driver. So it's me at the back and then the gent, the owner of the car. We're just sitting there. And the car pulls up behind us. Oh, no. And they come to his side and there's a gun. So I'm like, here we go again. And, I remember for some odd reason, I crouched down because it was quite a big car. So there was space. I crouched down. And as I was going down, there's something I feel, I actually catch, and it was his watch. And the other door, remember the back passenger door on the right was open. So I managed to, for some odd reason, because this one is having an argument with the guy they're looking for, because clearly it was for him. It was meant for him. And I actually just crouched down and I actually just exit. And as I'm running, so the guy actually then sees, you have to,
she can manage situations. I'm so proud of you.
In midst of
you
trouble,
think, girl, you think.
There's no time for crying there. You have to think very fast and get yourself to safety.
I love it.
Even though sometimes it could be quite risky.
Yes.
I remember, I think when I had just, maybe I could one other car where, it's the car that's parked, the car next door to us. Just as I turn, I'm headed for the wall. So this guy then sees that this person comes from the car, and there was a bullet shot. Guys, I mean it. And I don't know, guys, some of these things, but obviously because it happened and it's there in my mind, so I'm able to recall. And as I hit the corner, I think the bullet went over my head, but I had weave. Back then we used to have weave that would be in the air, and it was in the air.
You're wearing a whole synthetic.
It's like a bird's nest, it's all up here. And I remember I was crying because my weave burned.
I'm sure you could smell it. That plastic
yes,
smell.
it was plastic, And I mean, we used to travel far to go get that hair done. We'd go to Hillbrow actually to go. You'd move from Kofoso and you'd have to wake up very early, So I remember getting to the door. Now there's a gunshot. Everybody's screaming. Everybody's crying, And the moment I actually had left the car, the other guy, Onaliko Koloin, gets in. They drive off and they actually take the person in the car and they drive off with him. So now it's a kidnap. Not just a hijack.
Okay. So where are you?
I'm now back inside the club with everybody. Obviously, people were running out of their cars and people were loitering in the parking lot. And I think from that moment, that was when the second wake-up call said, you know what, girl, if you're going to continue, you're going to die. And there's nothing as painful as, I was not a promiscuous girl or anything. There's nothing as painful as, I think, my mother having to learn that your daughter died. You know what I mean? So, even when she then there was no hospital or anything. Instead, it was just cops taking statements, and we were just there for the longest time. And they're like, "What did you see?" Now I'm hanging on this watch. Yeah, this guy. I didn't even know. They're looking at the watch and oh no, this watch is quite expensive. I didn't know all of those things. So I'm not really so clued up with materialistic things, right? And now this person is missing, and what happened? And sometimes cops are so insensitive with certain things. Now they're drilling me, what happened? And I'm like, guys, I'm just a victim as this, and I don't know what happened. And my hair burned, and then I think a couple of hours later he was found. And then we moved on. And then I stopped going to Katlehong for years, And I think we're talking with ladies earlier. We tend to take trauma and dust and sweep it under the carpet,
bottle up
right?
somewhere.
You've been through so many things. And sometimes when you don't deal with problems, you end up attracting that kind of a problem. You'll meet someone who will share a story with you and say, I was hijacked, and it's a trigger to you, you know. And then there's a part or a point in life where you cannot deal with the trauma anymore. Your brain can't take it anymore. You're not talking about it. At home they think you're okay, but you are not okay. And it gets to a point where, you know, I think I was self-medicating because I was struggling to sleep from that moment on, you know. Like sometimes it's like you're dreaming it, but it's actually you reliving that
the
moment. You know what I mean? And yeah, you know, another person, you know, people are like, but you never got raped. It's not about that. It's a very traumatic experience that the mind holds, you know, keeps it inside. So yeah, we grew up. We continued, you know, started working.
So
I was
you never
doing
got
well.
help
No,
for it?
no, I
Okay,
never got help.
Okay.
I just left it at that. You know, we move.
Well,
like,
I
yeah,
went
we
through
move.
that. It was part of my journey.
Yes.
Let me move on.
And you
see
know,
what else
and you know,
life has
also
to
in
offer.
black families, we don't talk about trauma. We talk about it that moment. How
The sooner we stop talking about
The
it, the
moment
better
you-
actually.
yeah. The moment
Like,
you
stop
hear,
being dramatic.
Yes, phuma kuyo, why? Hey, why we vakashela? Like, you know, like move. Okay, it wasn't the attitude at home, but I think everybody always tiptoed around the subject.
Yes.
Even with the friends or people who knew, you know, they always tiptoed. Oh, excuse me. Instead, we'd actually joke about it. You know, be like, hey, what about Angelina Jolie, stunt girl? They used to call me stunt girl for jumping out of the car. And, you know, they would like make a joke or your hair burned. You know what I mean? And like we'll laugh about it, but when you are sitting alone, it comes back.
And sometimes they actually don't address it because of you. So they're thinking we're protecting you.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Let's not remind her
Yeah.
of this bad thing, but not talking about it is not obviously helping.
Yes, true. So obviously over the years, I healed, you know, but I
But you
think
still couldn't sleep.
I couldn't.
I
I was
wanted
struggling.
to deal with this sleep deprivation
Yeah.
because then that is alarming to tell you that you are dealing with a bigger issue here.
You are.
Because a lot of people who don't sleep, you will self-medicate, you'll find other ways
Yeah.
to sleep.
How did you self-medicate?
I would drink. I would literally get a bottle of wine, gin, whatever I needed at the end. Like calculator groceries at the end of the month for home. Remember, I was staying at home. You know, I'd have my mom is chilled because like I'm saying, next thing I know last hour. So I'd be like, I'm gonna have a glass of wine. But you know, the moment they turn, you can even take a cup and put, you know, and then you pop Adcodol, or you pop whatever pain med. I don't have pain, but it's a pain I was feeling inside. You know, I couldn't explain it because I don't know where to start. You know, so I would just take.
And because people can't see it.
People can't see
sometimes
it.
It takes away from
You convince yourself that it's
the
not there because
intensity
they can't
of the
see it.
pain.
Yeah.
Because it's internal.
It's internal. And you know, obviously there's other factors, you know, having to grow up with 4 siblings, both our parents, you know, and then I think when I was a baby it was both our parents, and growing up then they separate and they divorce later. So you grow up, there's a whole lot of childhood trauma as well, and then there's a whole lot of teenagehood trauma, and there's a whole lot of trauma in your young adulthood stages, you know, and you just think you got it together. You're working now, you're able to go and afford a slush puppy and a movie, so you're thinking everything is together, but you're actually breaking. And it's not
catches up with
easy.
you.
Yeah, it's not easy. So I started self-medicating. I started drinking and partying like a rock star. I would party like a rock star, and I was not shy to if the bill is high, I would literally swipe it.
Sure.
And sometimes my friends were like, "Hey, no, I can't go out this weekend." You know, and not only go out like partying.
Yeah.
Like sometimes just go to a restaurant, sit down, you know, order whatever, drink, and then when I'm all good, I'd go home. And it got to a point where now obviously you know, I'd go out until the morning, and sometimes I actually even realized I didn't need to go out. I just wanted to not sleep. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And now you obviously, now when you go out there, you start meeting people who are more like you, you know, be like, hey, let's go out every weekend. Now, you know, after work, sundowners, you know, wherever, and we're gonna get back home in the wee hours of the morning and stuff. So it started being a problem. And I did not realize that it's a mental health problem. My behavior changed. I remember at some stage, my older sister sat me down and she said, "What is going on with you?" Because then my mom would like speak to her. My mom was strict. So they always say, when she was lenient with you for some odd reason, and yeah, she was very strict, but I think also having older siblings. And then I just like, no, there's nothing wrong. It's kid stage or whatever, and I moved up until 2020, where I traveled to Lesotho. And I don't like getting into that story, but I traveled to Lesotho and it's a road trip and stuff. And I ended up getting back home by taxi on my own with just my backpack and my passport and my bank card. Because friends. Again, friends and an ex. So yeah, I ended up like being attacked, and so I was not having it. I also slept over at a stranger's house because now it was heated where I was, so I couldn't, and I actually literally spoke to this lady. I don't know her. I mean, I'm in another country here, and she said, "Look, it is not safe. You're gonna have to sleep here." And she had like a smaller yana. It was little than one room that we usually used to in South Africa. And I stayed there, and I remember waking up very early in the morning, and she said to me, "The only thing I have is just a toothbrush. I don't have an extra washcloth." And I just splashed my face, and I said to her, "I'll see you in Joburg," and there was another gent who was traveling back to South Africa, and it's like, no, we can go together. Board. I don't even have money. I don't have pula. I think it's the pula, right? We have to take local. Well, we call them local gamo, to the border gate, and then all the way, from border gate. Obviously, it's the checking and stamping, and you leaving. Then we sat in the taxi, and I got so sick. I was so sick. Like it's not even like I was not drinking the previous night because everything ended. It was so sour. I was not okay. So I just felt sick. I started having this hectic headache. I was throwing up in the text, and everybody was so supportive. Shem, they're like, "What happened?" Like they were there. They were unalebo me that they were like babying me, because they can see she's just a young girl, And I remember getting home eventually like late in the afternoon, because now a taxi goes and it stops here and then takes all these routes, and I got home and my mom was not home, so I had to go wait at my neighbor's house. Like, they're more family friends, and the girls, they actually prepared bathing water for me, and I took a bath, and they're like, "You're not fine," and I don't want to talk. Like, I'm not okay. Like, if you know me, you can see, oh no man, there's something that happened. And I actually got, like, I was still sick. I got on the bed and I fell asleep, and then my mom came. And when my mom got home, she then came. They told her, "No, Mapule is there. She's sleeping." They came. They fetched me. She fetched me. We went home. Then I started having fever. I had this fever. I had some rash. I was not okay. My neck, I couldn't turn. My body tensed up. And I think I was throwing up and had diarrhea the whole night. The following morning, I went to my GP. Got to my GP, and she just checked me. She's like, "No man, it looks like you were bitten by something. You're gonna have to go and see a dermatologist so she can do a biopsy on the skin, because there was stuff growing on me, and I'm sick, I'm weak." Those ones are there. My phone is charged now, but no attempted phone calls to say, "Bra, are you okay?" And I went to hospital. There's a private hospital in Vosloorus. I went there, saw the dermatologist, and she said, "No, I have to admit you," because I was getting worse. I was just feeling weak. I was feeling sick, and I was admitted. And they were running tests. Now, remember, it's 2020. So now they're asking, "You traveled, you went outside the country." I was put in isolation. All these tests were done to me. They even took a test of my stool, just to ensure what's happening. They were not understanding. And there was a bit of bacteria, like there was something. Remember, I slept at a stranger's house, right? So I was bitten by something, and then there was a bit of bacteria, but that bacteria wasn't the cause of me reacting,
the way that you
So
did.
yeah, they're like, "No, we're gonna have to do another COVID test. We're just gonna give it a couple of days." They were treating me. I was on antibiotics. I started having headache from hell. I couldn't stand light. I was crying. I was just not okay. And I even did a CT scan, and the CT scan came back normal. And the doctor's like, no, I think we should just check for meningitis as well. We're going to do what they call a lumbar puncture, where they take like a specimen from your spine, the pain. And I was even more sick there. And eventually the doctor said, you know what, I think I'd like you to actually go see a psychologist, because I've ran most of the tests. There's nothing we're finding, but you are sick. And I can't explain like what is wrong, like I as a doctor too. So I'm like, oh my God, okay, fine. I was not really here for that, but anyway, because you suggesting it's fine. I trust you. And I was seeing the psychologist, and I sat down with her, and they have a way. I can't tell you as I'm sitting here with you guys, but she asked me one question and I broke. It's like the elastic broke, and I broke down. And I broke down like hectically. And she spoke to me, and, we started the session, and I was starting to open up. And, I found myself talking about things that happened, the car hijacks and, childhood traumas and, the fact that you're not okay with your parents separating. And remember, when you're a black child, your parents don't sit you down and say, hey, we're having a divorce. No, you grow up. And I mean, at that time, I went to good schools. I went to white schools. We went to great schools with my siblings, and we know what divorce is. When you're in a white school, you know all these things, so there was no excuse for high abantwana type of thing. We knew everything. So there were certain things that I was not confronting.
That you didn't deal with,
Exactly. So then it also explains the self-medicating, the sleepless nights. Actually, I also found out that I have anxiety, right? And so I was diagnosed with PTSD from the 2 hijacks and many other things. And I was then diagnosed with anxiety disorder. And they said, okay, we're not going to diagnose the sleep. We're just going to give you meds, and let's see how, you respond to it. You're going to get proper medication. In this life, mental health and our physical health work hand in hand. If your mental health is not okay, physically you will struggle. You can put off whatever you don't deal with for the longest time, However, it's going to catch up. Because just a quick one, like I said, unfortunately, I never get to that. But in 2022, then I had a stroke, of which I survived.
About 2 years after.
2 years after I had a stroke. And, they checked all possibilities. But at that time when that happened, my mental health was honestly not okay. And many people tend to think mental health is when a person kills themselves, and they actually don't realize that sometimes a stomach ache is mental health, crying out for help. It wants to come out.
Sure.
Sometimes a shoulder pain is not you wanting a spa. It's for you to confront something that you've been putting off for the longest time, because it does come back. It catches up with you.
How did you know you had the stroke? What happened? Take us through some of
the
symptoms. Your condition before, your condition after the stroke.
So before or after? Both. Okay. Before, I started having like twitches. But twitches happen to everybody, And I think for like a week before, my face would twitch. Like it felt like my eyes or my cheek is jiggly. And then the following week, I went to work on a Monday. Tuesday, we're still on masks. And I remember my boss saying, you don't look well. And when I removed the masks, he was like, no, I think you need to go for an MRI scan, And I went to the bathroom and I looked myself in the mirror. So I thought it's just bowel palsy. And on the Wednesday, I woke up getting ready for work. And I was talking to my mom, and she looked at me, she's like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to work. Where else would I go? She said, did you see your face? For some odd reason, I've been missing the mirror. I looked at myself and my face was completely on my left. And then I reported at work. I went to the GP. She's like, let's give you meds and assess. Come back tomorrow if this doesn't resolve, And I went home, and the following day I actually had, so once a month I go for psychotherapy. I had a session with my psychiatrist. So when I got there, we're talking, and suddenly my speech goes. And she says to me, can you please remove your mask? Mapule, what's happening? As I removed my mask, she just sat back. She said, you are having a stroke. She called one of her doctor friends at Malberton Hospital and said, I'm sending a patient right now. She said to me, go home, pack your stuff, and go there. And we're burying my late sister's husband on the weekend. So I want to go to the funeral. When my mom came back with her friend, they looked at me and they said, no, darling, you need to go to hospital. And I'm like, okay, fine. Then I prepare everything. We drive to hospital. So, Netcare, you pay for parking. So I said to them, no, I think you guys can go. I'm okay from here.
Drop me here.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
as they were busy with my file, I collapsed.
Because in your head, you are fine.
I'm thinking, I'm okay. I collapsed. I woke up in ICU, being rushed again, being plugged in machines. I can't speak. I can't lift my hand. I have that urge of like wanting everybody to stop, but I can't, The following day, I wake up and
Is
I'm
this
thinking...
just on your one side or?
It was all my left.
So your
So
entire left side
I couldn't
stopped
feel
working.
my entire left side. And in the morning, all these doctors are here, and they're doing this. This one comes, and this one doctor turned around and looked at me. So never mind the face being on the left, it was twitching. So she says she's actually having a seizure. Like as I'm sitting here, they're looking at me. She's like, she's actually having a seizure because now I don't know. And there's some parts that I can't remember because it's like it's all lost, And I remember they putting the phone on my ear. I want to speak to my mom because they called her, the main doctor that was seeing me, the neurologist, and I can't speak. I can't lift my tongue. There was speech therapists that like, lift your tongue, take your tongue out. My tongue is going to the other opposite direction.
Yeah.
I was eating with syringes. I was plugged in. So, when I talk about it, many people are like, hi, boy, when you had a stroke. But because when I started talking and, going to a normal ward, I wanted the whole thing documented. So I would ask, when I moved from the normal hospital, I went to Netcare rehab in Auckland Park, and to relearn how to walk, to do certain things, cognitive things, and when I was there, I asked them, can you please take a video just to track my progress, that one day I'll look back and I'll remember the moment I was in. And I stayed practically, I think, from May of 2022, the whole of that year until late, where I was starting to, walk and
So you
do
had to
everything.
relearn
I had to
everything.
relearn how to walk, talk, eat, everything. And now I've done a full physical recovery, but there's certain things that I struggle with. Like I struggle with concentration. I struggle sometimes. I wanna, like right now, if you were to give me a sum, I've never really been that hectic with maths. Like it's not really like a boo-ha thing. But I mean, if you were to give me like a sum, I struggle. I can't do it without opening a calculator.
And also, you don't associate stroke with someone that's so young.
That's
I mean,
what
you are
everybody's
like
been saying.
so young, way younger than us, and you're just like, what?
Guys,
How?
It's mental health. Like I said,
I wanted to say, do you think it's a result of the mental health, and it physically took a toll on you?
it is a lot of
In
my
closing.
mental health. In closing, yes. It is a lot of my mental health.
Okay.
It took its toll on me physically as well. Yeah.
So where are you now? Are you taking medication?
So I'm on medication. I have another mental health diagnosis. I have bipolar mood disorder,
Okay.
which is lifelong. I'm on medication. I'm
What do
on,
you
What does
mean
that
lifelong?
mean?
it's chronic. When you say chronic, it's like diabetes. It's like all your chronic medication.
You have to make peace with it. You're stuck
Yeah,
with
no,
it,
that I'm stuck
basically.
with it. Because
So
if
is
I
that
don't
an
take,
emotional imbalance?
it's hectic emotional imbalance. So I take meds in the morning and the evenings, and it's those meds that you can't skip, because if I skip them, you'll even likely find me on the side of the road completely lost it. That's how hectic it is. But when you take care of it, and I'm very vocal about it, because I do advocate a lot for mental health. I talk about it on my social media. I talk about it to my peers. A friend of mine and myself, we actually met in a psych clinic. We registered, along with a third lady, we registered an NGO, and we focus solely on mental health, and we take it all out there, so that we learn, because in the Black community, it's not okay.
People joke about bipolar. Like when someone's got mood swings, or hey, you've got bipolar.
Yeah.
And You don't
it's
realize
such a
the seriousness of
the
it.
It's
seriousness is so
very serious.
hectic,
That
and
is-
more awareness needs to be raised.
More
about
awareness
it.
needs to be raised, and that is why you find a lot of people who know or have seen or have been diagnosed not wanting to come out or take medication because of the stigma, you know. But some of us have seen ukuthi if we don't talk about it, then it's not going to get out there, then more people are going to make fun of it, and the more people will not understand, and you find that you're actually sitting with people who actually have it.
Mapule, Chloe, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Your story. I mean, there's so much to your story, and we didn't. I mean, wow. I'm just like so inspired by the fact that you are dealing with every situation that you're facing head on, and you are.
Courageous.
Yes, you are courageous about it.
Thank
You
you.
speak about it
Extremely.
because acceptance is one thing with mental health. They're not in the same WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
But the sooner you accept and deal with it, you take medication, you talk about it, it's just like you are a step ahead already. So I commend you
Thank
for
you, guys.
this brave
You opened
move
my eyes.
and really opening up the conversation, creating awareness, and really just getting rid of stigma, especially amongst our community.
Yeah, you guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I definitely think for me it was a life-changing moment, because I do think that all of us have those hidden things that we just decide to put aside, and you think that it's gone simply because you're not dealing with it anymore. And sometimes you really need to go and confront those situations and actually deal with them. And I think most of us, or some of us, really need to go back and sit down with someone and deal with things while we still have an opportunity and a chance to do so. So thank you for opening up my eyes. I'm getting help.
Let's get professional
Let's
help.
get
yeah.
professional help, you know, and make sure that we are healthy, we are well, and we are holistic beings, right? And we are-
Emotionally, physically, spiritually, all the aspects.
That's it.
Yeah, well, this is the end of the show.
Yay,
We'll meet
what an
in the
episode.
comment section for myself, Millicent,
and myself, Innocent.
and our awesome guest, Mapule Chloe, and of course the team that makes it happen behind the scenes. It's goodbye for now.
Bye.